In the Dreamweaver universe, power isn't just about how hard you can hit, it's about who you are. Today we're diving deep into the Sigil Enhancement Program, a really complex training system where every single fight is actually a step toward discovering yourself, and your own soul becomes your ultimate weapon.
And this quote right here, this is the key to the whole thing. A sigil isn't just a cool sword or some magic spell. It's you. It's your identity made real. Once you get that, everything else just clicks into place.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack what the sigil really is. Then, we'll look at the two big ways you can grow its power, by mastering the elements or by mastering strategy. And finally, we'll see how both of these paths are really just leading to the same place, knowing who you are.
Okay, let's start with the heart of it all. Before we even talk about fighting, we have to understand what makes this power system tick. What exactly is a sigil, and why is it so incredibly important to a Dream Knight?
So, think of it this way. A sigil is a mirror to your soul. Its power has nothing to do with how many push-ups you can do. It's all about how well you know yourself. The more you understand your own identity, your good sides, your bad sides, what makes you, you, the stronger your sigil gets. It's that direct.
And that's the real point of this whole program. It's not just a training camp. These trials are designed like a series of mirrors, forcing the knights to really look at themselves. The end game? To awaken the living sigil. That's when it stops being just a reflection of you and becomes this living, breathing extension of your will.
Which brings up the big question, right? If your power is literally your personality, how on earth do you train that? Well, it turns out the program has two very different, but totally valid, answers to that question.
So let's check out path number 1, mastering the elements. This is the direct approach. This is about facing a problem head-on with pure, concentrated power.
Now, we're not talking about your average wizard throwing a fireball from a distance. Nope. The elemental combative style, which we see characters like San and Ciela use, is way more intense. They literally equip fire or wind to their hands and feet. So every punch, every kick becomes an elemental attack.
And what's so cool is how perfectly balanced this system is. You see here, fire gives you a regeneration buff, but water can completely douse it. Earth gives you armor, but wind can just wear it away. It's this incredible game of rock, paper, scissors, where knowing how to counter your opponent is just as vital as your own raw power.
So here's the big takeaway from all this. The elemental path isn't just about being the strongest. To really master an element, you have to get its nature, inside and out, what it's great at, but also what can take it down. It's really the first step to understanding your own strengths and weaknesses. I mean, being able to punch with fire is awesome, no question. But you gotta wonder, what happens when you run into a problem you can't just punch? What if brute force just isn't the answer?
And that, right there, leads us to the second path. This is where your mind is the weapon. This is the path of the strategist, where a fight is won long before anyone throws a punch.
This chart just lays out the two philosophies perfectly. On one hand, you have San and Ciela, all about overwhelming offensive power. But then you have teams like Kirin and Concordia, or Arlene and Mitsuki. Their focus? Information. Their whole goal is to outthink the enemy, not overpower them. And we see this playbook in action in some pretty brilliant ways. Remember Kirin and Concordia hiding in a stream just to mask their scent? Or Arlene and Mitsuki using clones to map out a whole maze without ever setting foot inside? It's just a masterclass in controlling the situation.
This line from Arlene just hits the nail on the head. See, strategy isn't just about being clever. It's about knowing your enemy's weaknesses, sure, but it's also about knowing your own. And that idea, that's where these two very different paths start to look surprisingly similar. So let's bring it all together. We've seen two totally different ways to get stronger. The warrior who masters the elements and the strategist who masters the battlefield. But are they really heading to different destinations? And this is the great secret of the whole program. The how you do it doesn't matter nearly as much as the what you learn along the way. Whether you're figuring out the perfect amount of wind to feed a fire or you're analyzing an enemy's patrol route, you're doing the same thing. You're learning. You're paying attention.
So, you see, these trials aren't just pass-fail tests. They're basically diagnostic tools for your soul. They force you to ask yourself, am I the type to charge in, or do I hang back and plan? How do I deal with pressure? What am I naturally good at? The answers to those questions, that's where the real power comes from.
At the end of the day, getting good with fire or becoming a master of stealth, that's just a side effect. The real goal is mastering yourself. That is what awakens the living sigil, and that's what turns a simple reflection of your identity into a true force of nature. It's just a fantastic metaphor for how we all grow. So I'll leave you with this question straight from the heart of this story. It kind of makes you think about how our own identities can be a source of strength. If your personality, your quirks, your skills, and everything you know could take physical form, what kind of weapon would it be? And what would be its greatest power?